Thank you for being here and joining me in this presentation about orchestrating criticism. It's a strategy that I've developed because, in my opinion, the definition, a correct and adequate definition of criticism is a request, please fulfill my criterion. And so it's very important, in my opinion, to take criticism seriously. It's meant, criticism, to increase the quality of the solution. So if you take criticism seriously, you have this opportunity to have a better quality of the solution. But not only that, you can also influence the congruency or the alignment of a person. The goal of criticism is to transform criticism to satisfaction. It can also be imaginary satisfaction. So it's a satisfaction within a person, pretending that an event would have occurred like he has imagined himself based upon his criteria. I'll explain that later on. It's also important that you know that the goal of criticism is that you develop the criticism into behavioral suggestions, how to do it differently. And it's a way of inviting your opponents to be constructive participants. How do you do that? That's important, always the question how. First of all, you need to elicit the criticism. I'll give a behavioral demonstration later on, but I'll go over the steps first and then give the behavioral demonstration later on. So first, elicit the criticism. You have to activate a meta-program mismatch by doing that. You listen and repeat the criticism you get from the person in a very precise, literal way. The next step is that you ask for behavioral suggestions. Very important, because you make the person who comes with the criticism work on their own solution. I'm not giving that solution. He or she is coming up with the solution. Very much in terms of and aligned with NLP. And as soon as you have the solution, very sensory specific, then you kind of accept a solution and you present it back to the person. And you say, well, what if I had acted in the way you suggest? And you do these solutions, not only by using the words, but also by using your physiology. And then you ask, what would that have brought you? So it will elicit the criteria which is important for that person. And that's all. If relevant, you can check it with your own criteria, because sometimes the behavioral suggestion might be contradictory in terms of what you find very important. So then it is basically essential to connect both criteria and to ask, how can we come up with a solution that fulfills your criteria as well as mine? But oftentimes, in my experience, that last step won't be necessary. So having said all this, it's important that you have your very literal way of doing it. Because if in a meeting I ask, okay, how did you like it? Did you like it? Was it okay for you? I activate the meta program match. And I'm not giving very much away to the person who are in mismatch mode, who have the criticism. So what I really want to do is to activate the mismatch mode. But I can do it in a very heavy way, so okay, what was wrong about this, etc., etc. But I'll take just the light-hearted, maybe a playful way, and so like, okay, now you be your devil's advocate, and please tell me what was wrong, what is there still to be improved. So think about it, feel about it. Maybe you have an itch in your neck or whatever. Take it seriously and tell me what was wrong. That's the first step. And then, of course, I'm very open to welcome criticism, but not two at a time, just one at a time. So if somebody comes up, for instance you, I will focus on you, but at the same time have also peripheral vision in order to keep the entire group energetically connected. And I will ask you, okay, what is it that you didn't like? And so I give way to your criticism, and instead of, like an arrow, it hits me, no, I'll just receive it on my hand. So I can connect and at the same time be dissociated from it. And I ask you, okay, so what would you have liked? I'll repeat the criticism, literally. So in order to check whether I've got it right. And sometimes you might correct it because you say, no, it's not exactly the right words. And if it's so, I'll go like, okay, what would you have liked me to do differently? Just ask you to come up with your own solution. Because you have your best solutions. I don't, but you do have your best solution. And I will accept it. I will gracefully welcome it. And I will say, okay, well, imagine that I would have done that. So imagine that I would have done, and I'll give your own suggestion back. What would that have brought to you? What would that gain for you? What criteria would have been fulfilled? And by entering your own solution and connecting to your own solution, and to get that level of value of criteria, also in clear, it's now part of your system. It's now part of your map of the world. And if you're satisfied, I am satisfied as well. And that's the basic last step of orchestrating criticism. Well, there are some points in reflection on this strategy which I want to point out. I want to keep overall the regie. I am in charge of this process. So when I'm talking to one person, I will not allow another person to chip in. I won't say, oh, you don't get to chip in, but I'll just keep focused and have this connection. So, like somebody who orchestrates, I will keep charge of the process. I'll take one point of the criticism at the same time. And I'll share the solution with the entire group. So everybody can have this enrichment of their map of the world. There's only one limitation for this. If we, for instance, do not agree because you have another belief than I have, that's not suitable for orchestrating criticism. In that case, I would recommend to follow the strategy of pragmatic evaluation, which is developed by my colleague, Lucas. Thank you all for your attention.